Hey there, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone had a great week. Today I'm cleaning and decluttering my boys' room. I have the time to dedicate to this project because between what I have in my freezer and the pork shoulder I have roasting in the oven, all I need to do to pull together dinner is whip up some Pico and put on a pot of rice. Today I'll be sharing two very versatile staples that I love to have on hand. The first one being tortillas. This recipe is the best and I have tried several. I'm going to link it down below. Whisk together your dry ingredients in a big bowl before adding in vegetable shortening. You could use butter for these, but my family prefers the shortening, and I do as well because I'm able to grate this with a cheese grater, which makes it easier to incorporate with my dry ingredients. You want to work the shortening into the flour mixture until it feels like sand and you don't have any large pieces. After that, you're going to add 4 cups of hot water, as hot as your hands can stand. I start with 3 cups, slowly adding the 4th. I always say dough has a mind of its own. As you can see here, I didn't even use all of that last cup. Now you're going to start kneading. You're going to knead this dough for about 10 minutes till it's smooth. You can see the progression here. Lightly coat the outsides with some of that leftover shortening and cover it to rest for 20 minutes. You're almost ready to start rolling out your tortillas, but first I like to separate and weigh each piece. 50 grams gives me the perfect taco-sized tortilla. Now we get to start rolling. I do this once or twice a month and I still have trouble making them perfectly round. It takes practice. I start by shaping the dough into flat round discs with my fingers before I move on to the rolling pin. I like to roll from the center out. When you see me moving that rolling pin back and forth, I'm applying the most pressure from the center and out towards the edges of the dough. You want to make sure and use plenty of flour, flipping that tortilla often in fresh flour so it doesn't start to stick. Once you've reached your desired size, it's time to take them over to the griddle or pan. It doesn't take long. Let them cook on each side till they begin to blister. Keep them covered with a kitchen towel till they're cooled completely. I like to store them in bags of 8, which is about how many we need for a meal. These freeze wonderfully. When you need them, just pull them out to thaw on the counter or in the fridge. We use these for tacos, wraps, smash burgers, quesadillas. I try to never run out. Much like the pulled pork I'm going to show you now. Here I am earlier today preparing this pork shoulder for the oven. I like to mix all my seasonings in a big bowl. I don't have exact measurements. I'll list what I used down below. You're pretty much going to throw your entire spice cabinet at it. You do want to make sure you use brown sugar and plenty of salt. Be sure to give it a taste and make sure it's salty enough. Keep tasting, adding more seasonings as needed. It's going to be intense. This is a big bowl of sugar and salt and whatever else you threw in there. But this is a big cut of pork and you won't over-season it. In the States, I would call this a Boston butt, and I could get it from almost any grocery store. However, here I have to make a special request from the butcher. For anyone watching on this side of the world, tell the butcher you want a pork shoulder with the skin and shank cut off. As you can see, I used a cooling rack on top of a foil-lined baking sheet. This makes it easier to catch all that excess seasoning that I can then use on the bottom. I'm going to bake it on this rack as well, so the meat isn't sitting in a bunch of grease as it's roasting. I baked this at 325 for 4 to 5 hours. It will depend how big your cut of meat is. You know it's done when the meat starts to pull away from the bone like this, or when it reaches 195 on a meat thermometer. After it cools a bit, you can start pulling all that pork from the bone. I used my knife to chop it up into finer pieces. This meat can be used in a variety of ways. We used it for tacos the day I cooked it, and I made pulled pork sandwiches a few weeks later, 2 of my family's favorite meals. Freeze this flat in a bag. This saves space in the freezer and speeds up the thawing process when you're ready to use it. The last thing I'm sharing with you is the simple pico. I'm using cilantro, onion, cucumber, tomato, and canned corn. I would also suggest jalapeños. Unfortunately, those can be hard to come by in Botswana. I love having this in the fridge. Sometimes I throw it on lettuce for an instant salad, and we use it for taco bowls with chicken and rice, and we cannot do taco night without it. This will keep in the fridge for 4 to 5 days. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you guys this week. Please like, subscribe, and share so I can keep bringing you more recipes, meal prep, and dinner inspiration.